This lesson is about the type of questions known as analogies. We shall look at what analogies are and how to quickly solve these kind of problems in the IBPS exam. So what is an analogy? It can be said to be a comparison between one thing and another, typically for the purpose of explaining or clarifying its meaning or its purpose. Let's look at the sentence. The heart is like a pump. Now this sentence explains the purpose or function of the heart. That is, the heart pumps blood. An analogy can also be used to represent a correspondence or a partial similarity. Like in the sentence, the revolution in modern day Nepal bears a striking analogy to that in 17th century France. Now this sentence does not say that the revolutions in Nepal and France were the same. However, there are some things which correspond in the two revolutions. For instance, both the revolutions overthrew a monarchy. Hence, this too is an analogy. An analogy is also used when one thing is comparable to something else in some significant respects. Such as in the sentence, Plato said that the state was an analogy to the soul. Here, the state and the soul are not the same thing at all. A state means a nation, a country like India or Pakistan. A soul is something spiritual. What Plato, who is a famous philosopher, is saying is not that the state is the same as the soul. However, he's saying that there are some aspects in which the state is probably comparable to the human soul. Hence, this sentence too can be classified as an analogy. Now, analogies are a very common type of question asked in the reasoning section of a bank exam. Typically, in every question paper, that is until last year's pattern, this year we're yet to see, at least 3 to 4 questions in the reasoning section were on analogies. So it's very important to grasp this kind of question to understand what analogies are and how to solve these kind of questions. But why do banks want to ask you all this? Now, for a bank who's going to hire you, these kind of questions are a very good test of figuring out what your ability is to find links or connections between objects. In a way, it helps the bank to estimate what your problem solving ability is, which is why these questions are always asked in a bank recruitment exam. The structure of a question is fairly constant and it's very easy to identify what an analogy question is. The important thing about this kind of question is that once you grasp it, they are very easy to solve and they are very quick to solve. Now, given that the IBPS PO prelims exam has 100 questions which you must solve in 1 hour, you don't really have enough time to devote to each particular question. So the kind of questions or the types of questions which enable you to solve really quickly without any calculations are really important, because if you solve them, you save on a lot of time and you can use that time to devote them to maths or to some other question which would require you to give some time and attention. Now, in this particular type of question, you would have two words. These words would have some kind of relationship, which is an analogy. You'll be given 5 options in a multiple choice, and you would have to choose a word or a pair of words which represents the same relationship as the 2 words given. So now the structure of the question is fairly common. You can quickly look at a question and identify it's an analogy question. And now with the course mantra method of solving an analogy question, you can get to the answer really quickly. So let's see how to solve this kind of a question. There are 3 main steps. Step 1 is to build a sentence. Step 2 is to fit the 5 options into that sentence. And step 3 is to eliminate whatever choices are incorrect. Let's look at it in detail with the help of an example. Step 1 was to build a sentence with the given words. Now the question here is, sea is to ship is the same as road is to what? And the options given to you are traffic, travel, journey, and bus. So the given words in the relationship are sea and ship. And we have to try and build a sentence with the words sea and ship. And remember that the sentence should highlight the relationship between the two of them. Now, a sentence with these two words that explains their relationship is, we use a ship to travel on the sea. Let's now move to step 2, which is to fit the other given options into this particular sentence. Now what you must do here is to blindly fit all these options and the word road into the sentence, we use ship to travel on the sea. Option A, when put into that sentence, becomes we use traffic to travel on the road. Option B is we use travel to travel on the road. Option C is we use journey to travel on the road. Option D is we use bus to travel on the road. Now that we are done fitting the options into the sentence, it's time to eliminate the incorrect choices. We use traffic to travel on the road makes no sense. If you have to travel on the road, you don't use traffic. Similarly, travel is eliminated. Similarly, journey is also eliminated. What is left is option D, that is, we use bus to travel on the road, which makes sense. If there's a road and you want to travel on it, you could probably use a bus. Also, the relationship between bus and road in this sentence is the same as the relationship between sea and ship in your first sentence. Hence, we arrive at D, that is bus, as the correct answer. Let's now look at some tips and shortcuts which will enable you to solve these questions in an even quicker manner. The first shortcut deals with unfamiliar words. Sometimes in a pair of words given in an analogy, you would not know the meaning of the words in the question. What do you do then? Do not panic because you can always work backwards from the option. For example, the word given here is pain and you don't know what it means. You cannot build a sentence with the words joy and pain because you just don't know what pain is supposed to mean. So what do? You try fitting the 4 options and back calculate and try and figure out what the relationship is. So let's try fitting each of these options into one sentence. Tempo is the speed of music. It indicates rhythm or the beats in a piece of music. So let's make a sentence, tempo is the speed of music. Now in option B, the words danger and milk have no obvious connection, so let's just leave it aside. Option C, that's prayer and hymn. A hymn is a song of prayer. When a prayer is expressed as a song, that song can be called a hymn. Option D is water and peninsula. Peninsula is a landmass that has water on 3 sides, like South India is a peninsula because it has the Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal and Indian Ocean on 3 sides of it. Now we eliminate any wrong choice. How do we do that? Let's try replacing the given words, that is joy and pain, into this particular sentence. That would mean pain is the speed of joy, which makes no sense. Let's eliminate this option. Option B we eliminate anyway because danger and milk have no connection whatsoever. It's just a filler option that has no meaning. Peninsula has water on 3 sides. If we replace joy and pain here, it becomes pain is something that has joy on 3 sides, which also doesn't make any sense. So we eliminate that. Now you're left with only one option, which has to be the correct option. So hymn is a song of prayer or a paean is a song of joy. Hence option C is your correct answer. Let us now look at shortcut number 2. That is looking for patterns. Every question will have 5 options. Now if 2 of the options mean the same thing, you can eliminate both of them. Now that is because in the IBPS format of the question, only 1 out of 5 options can be the right answer. You cannot have 2 correct answers in this particular exam. So if 2 of your 5 options mean the same thing, you can eliminate both of them since neither of them can be the answer. Let's understand this with the help of an example. Now the question given is, blind is to touch as A. Stutter is to speech, B. Limp is to walk, C. Deaf is to hearing aid, or D. Patient is to hospital. Now, of these given options, 2 of them have the same relationship. A stutter is an improper speech. When you cannot speak fluently, when your speech stops in between and the flow isn't smooth, it's called a stutter. A limp is an improper walk. When you cannot walk smoothly, when you cannot walk in a continuous manner, that can be called to be a limp. Since both of these options have the same relationship, you can eliminate both of them. Now this is useful because now you only have 2 options to concentrate on, and even if, say, worst case scenario, you know absolutely nothing about the 2 words or the 2 options, even by random choosing, you can probably select the right answer.